My name is Phil Dunn. I'm an artist working primarily with resin. I have been a part of the Crossroads community for a long time. I actually started out my first foray into the Crossroads was as a resident. I used to live in the freight house lofts in the early 2000s. And at that time, for instance, First Fridays was a very small event. So it's been fantastic to see how over the last 20 years it's grown to be such a huge community happening, really. Everyone really looks forward to it. I have also owned a business in the Crossroads in the, well, I guess it was 2010. I had a business partner and I that had a cafe in Overland Park called Nika's Cafe. We actually moved into the 320 Southwest Boulevard location, which used to be Shiraz and is currently Boulevard Tavern. So we had a restaurant there called Nika's 320. It had a fairly decent run. It certainly was a popular spot, and it kind of gave me my first foray into kind of creating a vibe, if you will. That's kind of what I brought to the whole equation. My business partner was really the food portion of that whole concept, and he did have an amazing, very creative menu. People really enjoyed it, but we had a very different kind of vibe. It was very much a New Orleans kind of feel, just in the way that it was lit and the artwork that we had up. The kind of just overall style of it was certainly inviting, but just with a little bit of a edge to it as well, that I think people really responded to. So I was part of that restaurant for a couple of years. So I've owned a business here, I've lived here, but since then, really just kind of basically started with my working on art, which has been a fairly recent happening, if you will. I started really working with art in about 5 years ago. And I had a background with photography. I went to film school, but I'd never really painted outside of being a child and in high school and those type of things. So I always had kind of an eye, and I always had a creative, or a need to be creative, certainly. But it never really came together like it has over the last 5 years. In terms of society, the opportunity to work on this scale for me was truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I had known the ownership group, the guys involved in the ownership group for Society through different avenues for several years. But I had done some work. It really kind of gave me one of my first professional gigs, if you will, with one of their other projects. They also own Westport Ale House and a little speakeasy underneath that called The Fall. So they had hired me at that point. I had really started to get into resin, and specifically doing resin tabletops. And I was trying to do something a little bit different than what I had seen on YouTube and all the other things, in terms of I really like the idea of creating an art piece out of something that's utilitarian. So they hired me to do their tables at the Fall, and then I continued to work with them on that project to see it to completion. And when they acquired this space, the Society space, which used to be the Jacobson, very popular restaurant, and also there was a cigar shop in the front side. They took that entire space up and completely gutted it for all intents and purposes and reformatted everything, and brought me in to really do a lot of work for them, and work again on a scale that I would have never been able to really accomplish on my own. So the concept for them was really art-centric. They wanted to be very art-forward, obviously, with this neighborhood and kind of what it's known for with all the great galleries. There's an expectation, I think, in the city that people have that things have kind of leaned towards an artistic bent here. So they wanted to really lean into that and provide a space that was unique. They wanted to have an art gallery feel with great food, and then also transition into a night spot, certainly on the weekend nights, and I think they've done that very well. But for an artist, it was an amazing opportunity to come in and the bar that I did a resin bar top that's over 260 square feet long. I was able to do a bathroom that it's extremely unique. I mean, certainly there's not any bathroom like it in Kansas City, and it's probably the most Instagram bathroom in Kansas City, so I guess that's a claim to fame I can stake. But was able to do the floor and the doors, and it's a cool 14 individual stalls, and it's just done very well. It's an impressive bathroom, if you will. And then I did about over 70 tables for them. Most all of them, while some might follow a pattern or a motif, the vast majority are individual works of art as a table. So it was fantastic to be able to kind of have them have the faith in me to see that come to life. I was able to really kind of put that to practice. I always had it in my head that there's some really unique things that you could do that people hadn't seen before with resin, and combining painting with resin. And so they allowed me to do that. And from what I can tell, people have responded, and I'm really pleased with how everything turned out. And it's allowed me to continue to progress with my skill set, certainly, and it's given me confidence in my other work, just in terms of my artwork that I do, to really kind of go beyond probably what I thought I was capable of, and to continue to grow in that area, because every time I think I've learned or I've gotten to a certain plateau, I realize that I don't know anything. I'm just kind of making it up as I go along, and I try and make things that are pleasing to my eye, and hopefully they're pleasing to other people's eyes, and it's always a very humbling experience to get compliments, or to people to react in a way that in a positive way. It's just the partnership with Society for me has been truly a once in a lifetime kind of deal, and I'm very appreciative of it for sure. And they've also provided me with a space to show my work, and a space for other local artists, most definitely, to show their work. And that's a big part of what they want to do. So there's a baseline for what this place will look like and be, but it's going to constantly change, and the artwork's going to be a big part of that, which I think is important, and they've got a really good grasp on that. That's a very large part of what they wanted to bring to the Crossroads. So I think it's a fantastic addition. I think it's a place that draws a lot of people that maybe weren't familiar with the Crossroads or didn't spend a lot of time down here. So that's a good thing. It's good for all the other businesses. And yeah, it's exciting to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.